Every one of us is wrapped up in our daily lives. It's easy to get caught up in the monotony of life. We're focused on our 9-to-5 work grind, living for the weekend, trying to find time to have fun, and if bad things aren't happening directly around us, we lose sight of how fragile life really is. My best friend Jay was 23 years old, spending most of his time working as a tower technician, clocking in as many as 80 hours a week climbing cell phone towers to work on radios and antennas, when on the morning of September 1st, 2018, he wakes up in a hospital bed and his entire life has been flipped upside down.
It was just a normal day, waking up, going to do towers. I remember driving back to the house, hanging out with Tyler and Colleen, taking tequila shots, celebrating Tyler's birthday. That was the last thing that I remember.
I remember beating him in a round of foosball, and he was like, I need a cigarette, best out of 3, whatever. So we walked outside, and I look up and just see him toppling over the deck.
I used to always go on the deck, smoke a cigarette, and sit on the deck railing. I would do that almost every night before I would go to bed. It was almost like a ritual.
I literally looked up and just he's off the railing.
I mean, as soon as we at least for me, as soon as I opened the door and saw him there, it was just adrenaline just going.
I had got a call and they had told me, Jay's been in an accident. And immediately I started crying. He's my best friend. I've known him since 6th grade. It seemed as though his life was about to change pretty drastically.
It felt like, the only way I can describe is I had a 5-ton truck on top of me and I just could not move. It was so heavy.
It sounded like he was going to be paralyzed for the rest of his life. From at least the waist down.
When Colleen answered to my question, is he moving? She would not say anything, and she then followed with, he was holding my hand. I knew it was bad.
All of a sudden, it was just it cut from that night, and then it went into me waking up into the hospital. I see the doctor over here, and then I remember seeing my parents. So I asked them, is anyone else hurt? They were like, no one else is hurt. After I asked them that, I was like, is the Jeep okay? Because my mind's still on, I must have gotten into a car crash. That must have been what happened. And then they respond with another no. And at that point, I'm just like, well, what the hell happened? What's going on? And then they're like, you fell off a deck. And I was like, oh my God, not again. Are you serious? They tell me that, and that's when I start looking down. I'm moving my arms a little bit, and then I try and move my legs at that point, and I can't move my legs.
That was very traumatizing. Very traumatizing. He kept on saying he couldn't move his leg, and I didn't want anybody to tell him what the doctors told us, that he would never walk again. I didn't want that.
So yeah, then I asked the doctor, what's going on? My immediate thought is, am I ever gonna walk again? And at this point, as soon as I asked the doctor that question, my parents are in tears, and the doctor goes, probably not. He said, you're probably never gonna walk again.
The hardest thing was when Jay said, I don't want to live like this. That was very hard. I remember grabbing him by his collar and telling him, we do not give up. You're gonna do this. You will walk again. But Jay was very, very devastated. And he asked for a hug. He asked us to hug him, and I knew he wasn't well. It was very hard for him, and very hard for me to watch my son like that.
I start bawling my eyes out. I'm hugging my parents. Whenever you hear about stories like that, people being told that they're never gonna walk again. And you're just like, no, that could never happen to me. So I'm still like in denial at this point. I didn't really accept it just because, you know, you never think it'll happen to you. And I was, 23 at the time, so you're still kind of in that college mindset of like, oh, I'm invincible, I can get hurt, nothing bad will happen, nothing serious will ever happen if I do get hurt.
Just felt scared, like what next, you know? I felt worried. To have your health, part of your health taken away from you, it's kind of difficult to wrap your head around when it happens in almost the blink of an eye.
I just couldn't have imagined, you know, him hearing that, trying to think about it in that sense, because I mean, it was only a couple months prior to that he like got this job climbing towers and was like absolutely in love with it, and it was like the perfect thing for him.
I used to like look forward to going to work and climbing towers. It was like a super fun job, and that's all gone and taken away.
I remember him looking at me and saying, "I just want to climb," was one of the first words that he had expressed to me. You know, and he was worried that he wasn't going to be able to work again, basically. You know, wasn't going to be able to climb again. And I just kind of looked at him and I said, yeah, well, we'll see about that, you know? Like, everything's going to be all right, so.
I think I was in shock. I didn't really know how to react, so I feel like I always use like humor and try to make the best out of the situation, I guess. But, you know, when you're being told you can't walk, it's pretty earth-shattering stuff, I guess.
After falling off the deck, Jay was diagnosed with a broken T6 and T7 vertebrae, as well as a punctured lung and 4 broken ribs. He was rushed to get surgery, where he received a spinal fusion from his T5 to T9 vertebrae, placing 4 rods and 8 screws in his back. Upon waking up from surgery, Jay was informed he had a complete spinal cord injury and would never walk again. He was moved to a rehabilitation center in Baltimore, Maryland, where he would adapt to life in a wheelchair and relearn how to function in everyday activities.
I didn't have time to cry. I needed to focus and be strong for my husband, for my friends, for my son above all. I spent my time 24 hours at the hospital, at the rehab. I was there at 8 o'clock in the morning till they would kick me out. I couldn't sleep at night because I was worried that something bad would happen to him. I wasn't thinking he's not going to walk. I was concerned that if he came to a realization that, oh my God, I cannot walk again, I didn't want him to break down and try to commit suicide. That was my biggest concern. I wanted him to be happy, which, I mean, I was sort of dreaming. I mean, how could he be happy if he knew he was paralyzed?
Almost all my dreams, like after my accident, it would involve me walking or running or whatever, you know what I mean? It was just so weird not being able to move my legs, because if I were to like close my eyes and lay in bed, it's like, oh, I still know where my legs are at. Mornings used to fucking suck. Just because, you know, you have these great dreams and then you wake up and you're like, oh shit, I'm still paralyzed. I can't move my legs anymore, you know what I mean? It like hits you in the morning. It was probably like the worst thing.
Jay is a force of nature. He would get up first thing in the morning. He was up so early and he was already bothering the nurses and that he wanted to get up, but he couldn't move, really. He couldn't stand, he couldn't sit up straight. He was totally dead from the chest down. He wouldn't stand up, he would just fall.
Day 2 of being at rehab facility, they got me doing 3 hours of rehab a day. They had me trying to sit up by myself. At this point, my bladder and bowel function are still messed up. And so it's like I can't walk, I can't shit. I'm pissing into a bag. And then the day that I finally do shit, I'm shitting into a bag. So I'm shitting and pissing into a bag and I can't walk. Life's great, you know.
There was one time we were in there, it was earlier on, And we're just like hanging out in his room with him, and then he just like all of a sudden was like smells the air and just like, get out, get out. I guess he, like it was before he could, you know, feel feelings down there. So he just like shit himself in the bed. It was like, everyone out, call the nurse in here.
His mentality was just go, 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 go. I have to do this. I need to walk again. I need to climb again.
He was super determined to prove the doctor wrong, that, you know, he was going to be able to walk again. Every day just trying to push himself and his limits, you know what I mean? And I remember, I think even him being in bed, just trying to move his toes, you know, just thinking about little movements in his toes and his legs, you know. It seemed as though he just wanted to get back up and walk, and nothing was stopping him.
They start having me just trying to transition from like wheelchair to bed. And for all this, you don't really realize how heavy your legs are until you actually have to lift them up with your arms. I was in such denial that I didn't think about this lasting forever. I was like, oh, this is temporary. You know, we'll get past this. Everything will be fine after this. I remember being in my hospital bed one day, and this guy in a wheelchair comes rolling in. He didn't have the physical therapist like outfits on. I'm like, who the hell is this guy? And then me and him start talking, and he's telling me he's a rec therapist there. Then I obviously saw that he was in a wheelchair. That was very clear. And I asked him what happened, and he said that he was in a Jeep accident about 20 years ago, something like that.
Hi, my name is Mike. I'm a recreational therapist at University of Maryland Rehabilitation and Orthopedic Institute. Jay had a good attitude. He was always pretty positive. Some people have like such like this horrible, stressed out attitude and super depressed, but like Jay was different. Spinal cord injuries are probably one of the worst events you're ever going to experience in your life. It's kind of like the death of a family member. You got to grieve, get over it, but it conditions you for other things to go wrong in your life, and hopefully you'll have a better attitude moving forward about it. I would say that Jay was like a model patient. There you go, man. You're a model patient.
I can't thank that guy enough, man. Hanging out with him and the other rec therapist, Megan, I think that's what changed my mood when I was there, because I would go do my 3 hours of rehab, you know, like physical therapy, and then the rest of the time at the rehab center, I remember being with Mike and Megan. We would go play tennis. I would hang out in their room. I would play cards with them. I still don't believe the doctor about him saying, you're never gonna walk again, you know. In my mind, I'm still in denial and, you know, hopeful. Every day I would lay in bed and I would try and like wiggle my toes. I would try and move my legs. Sitting up started getting easier. I started to get some more function in my core. That was a good sign.
We were all at Market Tavern for a big event, and Tim and Dulce were there, and they ended up asking us if they could come back and see where he fell off the deck at Brown House after our shift. And that was tough, and we were like, oh gosh, this is gonna be so emotional. But we ended up doing it, and it was, you know, we had some really good conversations. Ended up drinking a little too much, and they were like, can we stay in Jay's room since he's not gonna be there? And we're like, of course. So at that point, I was like, let's do a shot of tequila for Jay. Took the shot, it was great. And then Tim came up to me and was like, what kind of tequila was that? That was so good. And I was like, it's called Milagro. And he just started like bawling. And I was like, well, what happened? Like, what's going on? And he was like, do you know what Milagro means in Spanish? And I was like, no, what? And he said, miracle. And the next day was when he wiggled his toes for the first time.
It was probably a month and a half after me being at the rehab place that I'm laying in bed one day, and all of a sudden I'm able to roll my leg ever so slightly. And that's like when everything changed pretty much, you know. After that, it was just straight progress.
Him being able to move something, it's just like, okay, well, they were wrong about that, so they could be wrong about other things.
It was like we had hit the jackpot. When I saw him moving his big toe, that was the light that I had at the end of the tunnel. That was everything. If you're never going to walk again, that's not going to happen. I remember messaging, recording, and messaging everybody. He moved his big toe. That was everything.
They had me in this mechanism that would stand me up. I remember standing up, not on my own for the first time, but with this weird contraption. Every day it was like something new where we would start getting my legs involved in the physical therapy.
When I first saw him stand up, I was like, man, I guess this guy's pretty hard to kill, you know? I felt relieved.
I had to walk away from the room when the nurse called me and I saw him standing. I had to walk away from the room and try to catch my breath because I was sobbing. That was like, I know he's gonna make it. I know he's gonna make it. I knew he was going to make it. I don't know how, but as a mother, I guess I knew he was gonna make it. Oh, hope never died. I never, ever for 1 second did I lose hope. It just hurt to see my son suffer. That was hard, and still is.
They would like teach you how to use your wheelchair, how to like hop up onto curbs. I think like the highest like curb that they had was like 6 inches or something like that. And I was able to get the whole wheelchair thing down pretty quick as far as, you know, being able to pop wheelies and shit like that. On your wheelchair that they give you at the hospital, there are like training wheels on the back, so if you do pop wheelies, you won't fall backwards. But I was like in my room one day by myself and I like took them off by myself and like I fell backwards in my wheelchair and I had to get back into my wheelchair. It's a lot harder than you think. If you can't use your legs, how are you gonna get from the ground back into your chair, you know? It's like all you leaning forward and swinging your hips one way and then prying up with your arms. So I'm like in my room by myself and I'm like, should I call for help? Like, what should I do?
You know, he was trying to just get in there as much as he possibly could and make as much progress as he could forward. And they were telling him, no, you gotta take it easy, it's a slow process, but that just is a testament to his drive.
Every time Jay moved, it felt like I was pushing because I just wanted him to go, you know? So every time he moved something, I was always so tense.
After they had me in the harness for a while, we would have me walk around this like small area, like no further than maybe 30 feet. I'd have to put all my weight onto this walker. I remember them always being like, all right, we'll just go like down one way, like without making any turns. And I remember being like, I think I can make it like the whole way around.
You know, his therapists and all the staff members there, they were a big part in keeping his head in the right place as well. And I think that's a really important thing to note is just how great those people were and those staff members were at the facility that he was at.
From the nurses to the cleaning staff to the doctors, they absolutely loved him.
After 10 weeks at the rehab facility, Jay moves back home with his parents to continue his journey towards recovery. At this point, he still has to use his wheelchair to get around, along with facing the difficulties of adapting to a new environment without the daily care of nurses and his physical therapists.
I remember coming home was terrible. No more nurses, no more physical therapists. I remember being bored out of my mind. There was nothing to do. I remember it sucking.
That was very hard. When he came home, he hit reality and he realized this is a whole different world. He had to adjust. And I remember him being very down. And that's when, you know, we decided we had to get a dog for him.
His mom was talking about getting him a dog, and I remember Jay like mentioning multiple times, like, oh man, like I'd really like a dog, you know? And I think he wanted a husky like really bad, probably because they look like wolves or something, I don't know.
The date was February 4th. We go over to the house that I was living at, all my friends are there, and then I see my mom there, I'm like, oh, something's up. I'm sitting there in my chair with my eyes closed, and then they bring over like what felt like one of my roommate's cats. And I was like, oh, why, this is weird. Why are they putting one of their cats in my lap? Can I open?
Can open them.
No fucking. Are you fucking serious?
Late birthday. Happy late birthday.
What? Are you serious? Getting rowdy was pretty great. It kind of made me like focus on something other than myself, I guess. Because up until this point, it was like me, you know. I would say he helped me with recovery for sure. He made me walk more and more, whether it's take him outside or he kept me busy. I definitely wasn't bored with him around, that's for sure.
To be honest, Roddy saved our lives. He saved all our lives. He gave us so much joy. And that also motivated Jay to get up and hold him because Jay felt frustrated he couldn't take him outside. I remember Jay dragging himself and holding Roddy to take Roddy outside. Roddy saved our lives.
He was pretty determined to drive. I know he wanted to drive, I think, his Jeep at the time, but he couldn't do so because of the idea that it was a stick shift. He went online and I guess bought like a kit that you can use to steer, also like a brake lever, so he could grab with his other hand and squeeze to push on the brake. Being able to drive again definitely put a smile on my face, and I know damn well sure put a smile on his.
He started driving and started feeling more motivated and happier.
But I remember that being super, super rewarding, man. Because before that, everyone would have to drive me places. So to get that back, like, all right, now I can drive myself, it felt really good. I think at one point my mom was like, hey, I need you to go to the grocery store, get me some stuff. I remember like building it up in my head a lot, but the first time I went, I was like, oh wow, that was like the easiest thing you could do. It was always kind of annoying when people would ask you for help, because it's like, oh no, thank you. You know, you have to be polite about it. You notice how different people treat people in wheelchairs. Everywhere you go, you're definitely like the odd person out.
I prayed so hard for Jay to find a good girl that would make him happy and understand his situation. That's what a lot of people don't get, is how every day is a struggle, still is a struggle for Jay, but he deals with a lot. And Stephanie coming into his life was just so unexpected. And she has the most generous and amazing heart ever, and she understands Jay's situation. That was truly magical.
Love. So probably about a year after my accident, I met Steph and pretty much fell in love with her right away. She's been a blessing ever since, honestly. Always keeping me busy, getting me out of my comfort zone, getting me to do things that I wouldn't normally do, you know. Just getting me out of my shell, really. She was pretty great.
He went out one night with her and they ended up in the Morgan Inn, the lovely Morgan Inn, and I remember him saying that that was the first time that he walked into that bar because she was there.
Yeah, after like meeting Steph and then, you know, having Roddy in my life, that feeling of like being loved and like I get to feel that affection, and it was a good feeling.
Flash forward 2 years to the present day. Jay is able to get around with a cane and barely ever uses his wheelchair. We thought it would be a good idea to return to the deck he fell off of that was supposed to prevent him from ever walking again. So here we are, man, back at the scene of the crime.
Yeah, I guess it wasn't that much of a crime. I don't remember anything, you know? I mean, I guess it's a deck. I fell off of it. So it's like being back here, I mean, yeah. It doesn't really, I don't get like the chills or anything.
It's just some deck that you may or may not have fallen off of.
Why not, right? We can go walk over here though. See how high it really is? Yeah, pretty crazy. I guess, I don't know how tall, it's probably like 15 feet. We'll say 18. I can't believe that broke my back. What a pussy, you know? Damn, dude.
Flat ground is...
Looking down from here, it does not look that high.
I know, it really
looks
doesn't.
like you stack two people on top of each other and you're there.
No weird emotions coming back here?
No, not really, dude. It's a thing that happened. My life's pretty great. I don't have anything to complain about. You figure out new ways to do things and new ways to get around. The only thing I can't do is run. I wasn't much of a runner in the first place. That little fall changed my entire life. They should put signs up there like, hey, don't sit up here. Yeah. It's crazy when you think about how many people sit on deck railings. Like, everyone does it, you know?
Yeah, your life can really change in a day.
Yeah, dude. It literally did.
Just from this.
Just from that. Just from that. Don't do what I did, people. Or do. I don't know. My life turned out pretty good afterwards, so. That's messed up. We'll cut that out.
We're going to leave that in.
All right, that's fine. Do it. New beginnings. Better life.
I didn't say expect for him to be like walking this well with like a cane. It's pretty awesome. Like, he showed me videos of him like jumping in therapy and carrying his wheelchair up a flight of steps. I was like, I'm jealous of this guy.
He was so determined to walk, and I believe that's what saved him, and that's what made him walk again. It still is a lot of hard work, but if people don't give up, they can make it.
I feel like Jay inspires me because I don't know if I could have done it, honestly.
He's the inspiration that keeps me going and keeps me driving forward to do better and pushing myself.
Jay inspires me every day. If I have my back hurts or I always think, oh my gosh, my son never complains. Jay never, ever, ever complains. I only know he is in pain because of his facial expressions. He never complains. And I'm not worried about his future because I know he's going to do extremely well in whatever he does. But he is an inspiration every single day.
It's pretty crazy, like, you know, when we were trying to get this entire project together, reaching out to different people and having them send videos from my initial recovery and all that, like, I look back at those videos and it's just like, it makes me feel a lot better where I'm at now, because I'll think about how I'm still struggling and how I still have to use a cane to get around, but then I see those old videos and it's like, all right, you've come a long way. You can like pat yourself on the back. Look how hard things used to be for you, and you know, yeah.
Take it one day at a time. Live for today. Don't let things that you can't do interfere with what you can do. Things worked out really well for Jay because he was positive and he liked to, you know, he wasn't afraid of hard work, but he also was like cool and chill about it and positive, and that worked out pretty well. There's some people that are just like so like sad and can't, like all they can think about is like, I'm gonna walk out of here, or my goal is to walk. So then they kind of like shut all other doors. Keep your options open, because life is more than just about walking. It's about like, you know, connecting with others and enjoying yourself. Life's too short not to. Oh, and don't forget to rock and roll.
We ended up kind of sticking on this like mantra of hard to kill. I think that's the perfect thing behind, I don't know, the whole accident and through his recovery. It's just hard to kill. You just got to keep, you know, every day you wake up and you're still breathing, you just got to keep pushing forward. You get better or worse every day. You never stay the same. It's up to you to make that choice. Jay was always getting better. Definitely very, very inspiring that way. Did not give up.
Don't take yourself so seriously. I remember using comedy and humor to get me through everything. Try and make light of every situation that you're in. Because at the end of the day, you know, if you're sitting there beating yourself up on how hard your life is and how much things suck, like that's not gonna get you anywhere. Try and like do something, be productive. And I mean, I hate to say it, but just don't be a pussy about things, really. I definitely wouldn't have thought that my life would have been better since the accident, but I mean, it's still kind of surprising when I hear myself say it out loud. But I mean, it really is. Even though I can't walk or run, we got this little guy now, you know. Get Brandon in the shot here. Look at him, he's a little bear.
Oh yeah, your
Little puppy dog. Little puppy dog.
Jay's life is better after the injury. in every single way, but physically. Jay's life is definitely better after that. It is absolutely crazy to say, but it's reality.
Jay's story is amazing. To be told you will never walk again and maintain such high spirits and hopes throughout everything is incredibly rare. This guy truly inspires me every single day. We take so much for granted in our lives. We all let the little things get to us, but in the grand scheme of life, most of our issues are very minuscule, and there's so much we should be thankful for. Personally, I'm very thankful for Jay. He has given me so much perspective, and I couldn't be any more proud of him than I am.
We love you, Jay.
You gonna show us how you do?
We'll get some action shots for the people, you know, that way they don't think it's all talk. Choo! We got this. All right? Oh! That counts as a squat, right?
That was a full squat, baby. Said you weren't gonna do what?
That's right, dude. Not bad, dude. For someone that wasn't supposed to walk again, I'll take it. I'm so cute. Aren't I? Come on, tell me. Tell me I'm cute.
You're really cute.
Thanks.